Building a high-performing team starts with building trust. Although we can't all be Ted Lassos who take a team from very underperforming, where everybody seemed to hate him and want him to fail, to a very successful, high-performing team with psychological safety and basically 2 seasons of a show. There are elements that are similar to what Ted Lasso's approach was like on this show that help us understand. I want you to think for a second, who was that person in your life that said, wow, you're really great at this? Maybe it was your football coach, your 3rd grade teacher who said, you're such a good reader, or that family member who said, wow, you're so talented, you could be president. There are those people in our lives who've mentored us, taught us, walked alongside us as mentors, who've shown us how to build team. And I would say team building begins with trust. There's no substitute for building trust. How do we build trust? We start with listening. There's really no other way around building trust besides the basic tenet of just listening to the people on our team, in our one-on-ones, in our team meetings, to start off by saying, how's everybody feeling today? Let's start with 2 emotion words to help people go from that surface level to that real psychological safety of belonging, which takes time. Diversity doesn't necessarily equal inclusion, but inclusion is the second part of building trust and building a high-performing team. And I would say diversity is a place to start, but when we include people, we go a step further by saying, you're welcome here, and let's go further into a sense of belonging by creating equity on our team and listening enough to know when things are not equitable. And as leaders, we should always be not questionable in a nasty way or a weird way, but the ability to be questioned as a leader creates psychological safety on your team. And I don't mean just a fake questionable, where people can question, what kind of tablecloth should we use today? But they could say, why did you use that word? Because it really hurts some of us in the team. And you're humble enough to say, I am so sorry. Thank you for giving me that feedback. Good leaders don't just give feedback to their team, but they accept feedback as leaders. And feedback should always be approached with a lot of praise and recognition over and above the amount of times that we give feedback. And modeling that for our team is where we start as leaders. And we can do that by including and listening and going a step beyond by mentoring. Good team leaders that build high-performing teams know how to mentor. And I would say if you're giving someone on your team a stretch assignment to teach them how they can develop their career and take on more responsibility, one of the greatest ways I've found to do that is the MAWL method, MAWL, which stands for model, assist, watch, and leave. Leave, not necessarily leave. Some of us like to say letters, where we continue on our relationship through emails and texts. So we don't ever really fully leave those we've led on our teams, and we always stay in contact with them because they go on, in my experience, to do amazing, great things in countries around the world where we're so proud of the small lessons they learned that they took to greater heights. And that's one of the joys of leadership and mentorship that we get to see on high-performing teams and the story that unfolds over the years. Modeling what has to be done can start with something as simple as preparing your child to be the grub master at their scout camp out, like I did with one of my children recently. Oh, we've got to learn how to make fajitas? Well, let me model that for you first. And then next time, I'll assist you on how to do it. I'll stand here and I'll be your sous chef. And then the next time is you watch them do it. And then lastly, you can leave it up to them. They know how to do it now. It doesn't always go in that order. Sometimes the assist and watch can go back and forth depending on how the skill is developing, and that's okay. But I would say great teams have leaders that understand these elements and bring them to the team. I had a great professor in my master's program who taught me that teams that perform well together, eat together, drink together, play together, and pray together. Eating together in the pandemic is not easy, but so many teams are getting together annually at the meetings or quarterly to have socially distanced outdoor moments of having a meal together. Here in the Silicon Valley, at Google, and different places, people regularly have happy hours on Zoom, where you bring a coffee or a tea or any other drink just to hang out and have conversations over drinks, and then playing together. Maybe at your annual general meeting, you have a beach day or recreational games where you just laugh and have fun and build those good neurotransmitters that build relationships and those good bonding feelings on your team. And then praying together. Whether people have a spiritual background or they practice a religion or whether they don't is not really relevant necessarily in the sense that it has to be very specific, but the element of praying together is just a word that reminds us to be mindful, to be grateful as a team, to practice moments of silence and noticing with our senses what's going on in our day, especially in a world of Zoom meetings where we can get quite overwhelmed because we're not just physical bodies, but we have all these elements to ourselves that can get overwhelmed. And so in a spiritual sense, just caring for one another, that's part of the psychological safety that we can create as leaders on a team. And my experience, when you build trust and when you listen, include, mentor, and do elements that bring together a team and relationship building, you will see a loyalty on your team that is just next level. People will stick together through thick and thin, go through crazy assignments like tsunami relief or tackling large projects together. But when you're together and you feel that team bonding and you feel that relationship and you feel that loyalty with your leader and those on your team where you feel psychologically safe, wow, the sky's the limit for a team like that. If you would like to know more, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and also send me an email, and I can provide coaching or speak to your event on team building, which is one of my very favorite things to do. I hope your teams are thriving in this season.